All right, so welcome to the Strategic Planning Workbook session. And one of the reasons why this is super important for us to have this session today is because the future is where we live. We are preparing for the next season. We are preparing for something amazing. We are preparing for something great. And if you would agree with me, I want you just to type a number one in the chat box and to remind yourself that you are preparing for something great. I am preparing for something great. You might not know where the next thing is coming from, but you know with a surety, you know with a certainty that you are preparing for next. I am preparing for my future because my future is where I am going to live. So here's the thing that I want you to think about right now. Everything you do now is for your future. Everything you do now is for your future. I want you just to type that in the chat box. Everything I am doing right now is for my future. Just type that in the chat box. If you're taking notes, you might want to write that note down now. Everything that you are doing, everything that I am doing right now is for my future. Just type that in the chat box. And the reason I want you to type this in the chat box is because I want you to hear it in your own voice. Thanks, Lorraine. Thanks, Debbie. Thank you, Pauline. Everything I am doing right now is for my future. This is super, super important because as we step into a new season, as we step into a new epoch of time, as we step into something new, something different, it is so important for you to have your heart, your mind, your spirit in the right place. Many of you are preparing or building businesses. Many of you are leaning into healthier regimes, or you're thinking about upgrading your faith, you're thinking about doing something more, something different with your life, with your lifestyle. It's important to know that whatever you are doing, whatever systems, structures, or strategies that you are putting in place, whatever money you are putting aside, it is for your future, because your future is where you are going to live. And one of the reasons why I've been encouraging you to think about mentorship is because sometimes the thing that we need to help us move from where we are to where we need to be is mentorship. And so the doors to mentorship for 2026 with me, Claudine Reed, your host and your mentor, are open. So for those of you who are interested in moving further in your mentorship journey, for those of you who are interested in developing your skill, your wisdom, your sagacity, your future for 2026, please do let me know. And at the end of today's session, I'm going to share with you a link so that for those of you who want more information or you want to sign up to mentorship, that door will be open for you. And one of the reasons why mentorship is super important is because sometimes there is only so much that you can do for yourself. Sometimes you actually need somebody to help hold your hand along that journey, who will help you open those doors, overcome those barriers, navigate overwhelm, help you increase your capacity for more. So, one of the things I want you to think about today, as we get into today's session, is for you to start thinking about, what do I need or what do I want for the next 12 months to look like? What do I want for the next 12 months to look like? And one of the reasons why this is important is because your strategic plan acts as if it is, or acts as if it were your compass. Everybody just type that word compass in the chat box. Got a picture here from you to have a look at the compass. Your strategic plan is your compass. It's your roadmap. It's you saying to yourself, right, this is where I am. I'm facing south, facing north, or I'm facing a direction, and I need to take an about turn. I need to turn into a different direction. I need to go to a different I'm facing north and I need to turn south. If I'm facing east and I need to turn west, I'm facing northwest and I want to face a different direction, I want to go southwest. Your strategic Your strategic plan is your workbook. It's your roadmap. It's your compass. It's the thing that's going to help you get to the direction or get to the pathway that you want to get to. And that's one of the reasons why I created the Strategic Planning Workbook. A couple of months ago, earlier on this year, I was doing a workshop with my mastermind group. And in my mastermind, for those of you who are not familiar with the term or the concept of a mastermind, it's literally um, a group of people, and we put each other in the hot seat. And the hot seat literally means that you're going to share a challenge, you're going to share a circumstance, you're going to share something that you're having a challenge overcoming. And when you're in that hot seat, you're able to talk through that challenge and hear the other masterminds. If you just type that word mastermind in the chat box, I want you to think about and what's happening here. I'm trying to introduce you to new or to different concepts so that as you step into 2026, you've got a vocabulary of different options, different opportunities, of different things that you can explore for the year ahead. So I created a strategic planning workbook for my mastermind group, and the feedback was absolutely incredible. The feedback from the strategic planning session was absolutely incredible. And in true Claudia style, I thought to myself, if this has been a benefit for so many people in my mastermind group, let me see if I could, how I can use this to support other people. So that's why I took it to the Navigating Life Empowerment class. That's why I've taken it to the World Wide Web. That's why I've suggested to you, buy your copy and come to today's session with a copy of your book, because there are about 50% of you on the line today who need to make an about turn. There are about 15 or 20 of you today on today's call who need to make an about turn. So many who have said, listen, 2026 is not going to look like 2025. I'm not going to repeat 2025 again. I'm going to do something different. Just type the word different in the chat box. I'm going to hear a different story. I'm going to start talking a different story. I'm going to start doing things differently. I'm going to hear differently. I'm going to see differently. I'm going to start speaking differently. I'm going to make sure that I accelerate my progress. I'm going to make sure that I upgrade my thinking strategies. I'm going to make sure that I upgrade the impact or the outcomes of the things that I put my hand to do, because I believe, how many of you were here in the last session where we spoke about a 100-fold blessing? We spoke about the parable of the sower, and we spoke about the 100-fold blessing. And if you believe that's you, if you believe, right, this is a different season for me, this is a different this is a different epoch of time for me. This is a different season of life. If you believe that is you, this is your time. This is your time. This is enough time for talk. Enough time for talk. Now it's time for action. Now it's time to roll up your sleeves and make sure that you are ready. You are ready for the future. You are ready for whatever it is God has put in you. You are ready for that next season. And so for those of you who've got your strategic planning workbooks, you will know that if you haven't done so already, on the first page, you got a QR code. And if you, after today's session, I want you to scan the QR code and listen or download the audio that accompanies this book. If you haven't done so already, write your name and today's date. Put your name and today's date in the workbook and scan the QR code, and you can listen to an audio walkthrough of the book. Now, the first thing that you're going to see as you work your way through the pages is, let's see if I can do this. Yeah. All right. The first thing that you're going to see is a note or a saying, a quote that says strategic planning means nothing unless you have a strategic vision. Strategic planning means nothing if you do not have a strategic vision. So my first question to you, the first thing that I want you to start thinking about today, the first question that I want you to ask yourself is, What do I see? Think about your future. What do you see for the next 12 months? Why is the next 12 months important to you? Now, I want you to jump to page 21 if you can. For those of you who've got your workbook, I want you to jump straight to page 21. And page 21 is your declaration. Page 21, you are answering why are the next 5 years the most important for you? Why are the next 5 years important to you? And for those of you who are thinking, look, I don't even know where to start with this question, you could start by asking yourself, how old will I be? If you ask yourself, how old will you be in the next 5 years? And then reverse engineer the process. So ask yourself, in order to answer the question, we're on page 21 for those of you who are just joining us, page 21 of the strategic planning workbook. I'm teaching from my workbook that I released. A copy can be purchased on Amazon. And this is specifically for those of you are serious about ensuring 2026 does not look like 2025. The only way 2026 does not look like 2025 is when you get strategic, when you get intentional about your future, when you start thinking differently, acting differently, and then you can then put different system, structure, and strategy in place. So I'm giving you time to gather your thoughts. I'm giving you time to think. Why are the next 5 years the most important for you? And for those of you who've got your workbooks, I want you to start using it now. I want you to be writing down your responses to why the next 5 years are the most important to you. Now, listen, we are working through the workbook, and I'm clear now, you're not necessarily going to finish every single task today, but I do want you at least to start the task. I do want you to at least start writing, start getting your thoughts, your concepts, your ideas out of your head and onto paper. And then later on, or for the rest of the week, you can continue, you can go back and add value to the things that you are writing down. The second half of the question is, what is your big why for wanting to do this? So why are the next 5 years important to you? That's number one. But then number two, the second question, the second paragraph of the book, of the task rather, the second paragraph of the task says, why is this important? Why do you want to do this now? What is your big WHY for wanting to do this now? Why is it important that you create a roadmap for the next 5 years? Why is it important for you to get this level of clarity, to get this level of understanding about where you are going? I remember in 2019, after I had a life-altering cancer diagnosis, and I was trying to navigate the emotional turmoil that the season brought to me, because I had slowed down everything in my life, because I had slowed down from work, I had stepped back from my business, I had just literally relinquished all the things that I was responsible for. I kind of put things down, and it gave me time to think. It gave me time to think about, what do I want the next season of life to look like? I'm nursing, or I was in recovery mode from a life-altering cancer diagnosis. But what I realized in that time was, without vision, it's easy to drift into reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. And that's one of the reasons why it's important for you to be clear and to gain clarity around what you want the next 5 years to be, or what you want the next 5 years to look like. So here's the thing that's really important, and this is what I learned while I was navigating a challenging health scenario, is that vision acts as an anchor in uncertain times. Your vision, the thing that you see, the reason why it's important to answer the question, why are the next 5 years important, is because your vision acts as an anchor in uncertain times. It acts as a compass to keep you aligned with your purpose, even when distractions come. How many of you have ever been distracted before? Just type a number 2 in the chat box if you have ever been distracted before. You got so many things going on, so many different competing priorities, so many things so many different circumstances, so many different challenges. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, where do I go? What do I do? How do I do this? You've got so many competing priorities. And instead of thinking to yourself, okay, let me stop. Let me get back to my compass. Let me go back to my vision. Sometimes we don't do that because we don't have it at hand. And I remember thinking to myself whilst I was navigating this season, that vision gave me confidence to explore new partnerships. Vision gave me the courage to say no to opportunities that didn't align, that were not clear, that didn't give me the clarity to lead my team with conviction. Having that clear vision allowed me to explore new partnerships and to lead with clarity because I knew where I was going. For those of you who are drivers, you will know that if you plug in the postcode to your destination, having a vision of where you want to end up allows you to take or to follow a route that is taking you in an upward or a forward direction. If you plugged into your sat nav a particular postcode and it started to take you it took you in a U-turn, you would know that you're going back on yourself. But having that postcode, having that destination of where it is that you want to go, having that postcode of where it is that you want to go allows you to make the progress steps that you need to make. Experience is the experience for me of having vision and having the confidence to say yes to new partnerships and saying no to opportunities that don't align. It doesn't just help me to survive the challenges, because that's the other thing. It positioned me for purpose. So I don't want 2026 to just be about survival. I want 2026 to be about being positioned for purpose. I want you to type that in the chat box for me. Just type in the chat box, positioned for purpose. And the reason I'm getting you to engage and to type in the chat box is because I want you to hear this in your own voice. I want you to be able to say in your own voice, I am positioned for purpose. 2026, I'm preparing now. I'm not waiting for the 1st of January. I'm positioning myself for purpose right now. I'm making a declaration to myself. I am making a declaration to those who are in my space. Now, for those of you who have a copy of the workbook, I want you to think about if you can just go back to page 17. Yes, if you can go back to page 17. There's a diagram that I've put in the in on page 17, and it's based around goals-based strategic planning. And I took this diagram from some of the corporations that I've been working with, and some of the conversations that we've been having, and some of the high level discussions that we've been having as it relates to strategy and as it relates to growth. And it's important to note that the actual journey to achieving your goal may not be linear. Right? It might not be a straight line. It may not go in a logical order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It may not go like that. It may not look like that at all. But the reason why this is important, what I want you to get right in your mind, is the goal and the journey that you are going to take, and the framework that most organizations, the framework that most corporations use. And I want you to think about this too. The diagram is on page 17. I want you to think about the goals that you have and where do you want to go. Just think about this, the goals that you have. And in a moment, I'm going to give you a framework that you can use for your goals. And when you think about the goals that you have, and where is it that I want to go? What is the desired outcome? And I want you to think about each step that you have to take. So here's the goal, and we're going to get into this when I should give you a framework to write SMART goals in a moment. But here's the framework that most organizations use. Here's the goal. What's the desired outcome? I want you to write that down in your notes. Write down your goal, then the desired outcome. And the question that you need to be asking yourself is, what strategy do I need to employ? How am I going to get there? So if I've got the desired outcome, then how how do I get to that desired outcome? Then think about the measures and the targets that you need to employ, the measures and the targets that you need to employ. How are you going to know what success looks like? And then you're going to start thinking about the results. And literally, goal, desired outcome, strategy, measures and targets, results. These are five pillars or five key components, if you like, of how you can then start thinking about how you're going to achieve your goals. These are five strategic pillars, five key areas, five areas of focus that you can start thinking about for each particular goal. So take goal number one. What's the desired outcome? How am I going to get there? What strategy do I need to employ? How am I going to measure success? What does success even look like? We're no longer dealing with abstract. When I write down a financial goal, I'm saying to myself, for example, if I want to increase my income, let's do a real life example. How many of you want to increase your income for 2026? Just type a number three. Are we up to number three? Yes, just type a number three in the chat box. For those of you who want to increase your income for 2026, just type a three in the chat box. Okay, yes, I see you, Joan. I see you, Soraya. I see you, Beverly. Janet, yes. Cheryl, I see you. I see you, Grace. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, for those of you who want to increase your income in 2026, let's get specific about this. Using this framework that I've just shared with you, and it is on page 17, the goal for increasing your income, you need to be specific. Write down how much you want to increase your income by. What is the desired outcome? How will I know? Let me go back. I'm getting ahead of myself. What's the desired outcome? Write down your goal. I want to increase my income by £10,000. I want to increase my income by £50,000. I want to increase my income by £100,000. Whatever that goal is, then the question you should be asking yourself is, how do I get there? How do I get to that goal? If my goal is to increase my income by 10,000, 100,000, 50,000, whatever your number is, the question you need to be asking yourself is, how am I going to get there? Now you've got to come up with some strategies. What type of strategies could I employ to get there? I could increase my prices. I could ask for a pay rise for those of you who are in employment. I'm not sure which employer is going to give you £100,000 pay increase. I remember whenever it came to that time of the year, appraisal times of the year, I recall that I would always be having these types of conversations with my team. And of course, you're going to overinflate what you think your value is in context of employment, in context of employer employee relationship. So think smartly about what this means for you and how you could ask those types of questions to your employer. And what value are you adding? What value are you adding into their ecosystem in order for you to get the desired outcome? Because if the desired outcome is, as I said, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, you got to think about this in terms of value. If I want to increase my income, what more value can I add? What more value can I bring to the table? What knowledge am I inquiring? And you might be asking, how do I add value? In order to add the value, you got to think about the scenario or the world that you live in now, and how can I add value to the ecosystem of somebody else? How can I add value to the ecosystem of somebody else that will make them want to pay me what I'm asking for? The next thing I want you to think about then is the measures and targets. How will you know what success looks like? How do you measure success? You will know if you've given yourself 12 months, if you've given yourself a 12-month timeline to increase your income by £50,000, you will know whether or not you've been successful or not, because by the time you get to the 31st of December 2026, you will know, do I have an additional 50,000, 40,000, 30,000, 20,000, or 10,000? Because you can see the measure and the target. And then the last thing that you can look at is your results. What did I do? How did I get here? How did I get that increase? And you're going to monitor this at different intervals, and then you're going to ask yourself, how can I improve this? So if you only made an additional 5,000, you're going to have a look at what did I do to get there and how can I improve? If you made an additional 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, you want to be asking yourself, what did I do to get there and how can I improve this? I hope this is clear, because it's a repetitive. task, and all you're doing is asking yourself the same question over and over and over again. Now, for those of you who have got a copy of the, sorry, for those of you who don't have a copy of the workbook, from page 23 through to page 30, you will see that I have given you a copy of the Life Framework Wheel. I am going to use this again. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to give you a copy of this that you can look at right now. All right, so for those of you who don't have a copy of the workbook, oh, you can take a screenshot of this. I'm getting that. Yeah. Take a screenshot of the life framework wheel, and I want you to work your way through the different goals. So you've got finance goals. We've just used that as an example. We've just used your finance goals as an example of a goal that you can set. And we're going to get into SMART goals a little bit later on in this session. But you can think about your finance goals over the next 5 years. What do my finance goals need to look like? Depending on age and stage of life, you're going to have different goals. For those of you who are closer to retirement, you might just be saying things like, I want to increase my pension portfolio. I want to my retirement plan. I want to increase my oh, let's you might be saying things like, I want to increase my pension portfolio. I want to um, make sure I have a certain amount of money in my pension before I retire. There are others of you who have already retired, but you still want to increase your income. Think quite seriously about, what does that look like for you? If you're thinking about increasing your income, then what do you need to do? What type of things do you need to be thinking in order to increase your income based on your age and stage of life? Then we move through to family. What are your family goals over the next 5 years? What types of things do you want to be doing in your family? For those of you who are grandparents, um, or you may not have any children, you're thinking about your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren. What family goals do you want to put in place over the next 5 years? What legacy plans are you making? What inheritance plans are you making? What conversations are you having with your children about life, about family life, at this particular season right now? What faith goals do you have, if you have any? What faith goals do you have over the next 5 years, about your value system, about your mindfulness routines, about how you display your faith, about how you build the muscle of resilience as it relates to your faith over the next 5 years? What firm is your business? What business goals do you have over the next 5 years? And in the book, you've got space for each of these pillars: your finance, your family, your faith, your firm, your fun. What fun goals do you have? Your friendship goals, your fitness goals. You've got space under each of these segments in the book from page 20 through to page 20, no, through to page 30. You've got space to answer the question, what's working well and what do I need to improve? This is your audit. So when you write down what's working well and what do I need to improve, as you go through your life audit, the things that you need to improve can form your goals. The things that you think, yeah, I need to improve my fitness. For example, some of you will know I've taken up Taekwondo because I want to improve my fitness. I want to be part of a community. I want to make sure that I maintain my mobility for my body. I love what it does for my mental well-being. It's just a great place to de-stress, a great place to build the muscle of discipline, a great place to practice precision in terms of how I move and ensuring that I stay flexible. I'm 50, stay flexible. But in the book, what you're able to do is detail what's working well, what do you need to improve, and then those things you can then turn into your goals. And remember, we said this earlier on, that partnership and collaboration is key. So I want you to remember that you don't have to be doing all of these things on your own, especially those of you who might have business goals. We're going to come to that in a moment, but you don't have to be doing all of these things as it relates to improving different areas or different strategies or different segments of your life. You don't have to be doing all of these things on your own. So, next question I want you to think about, and the reason why this is important as it relates to your 5-year goal is, what memories do you want to create over the next 5 years? So we've spoken a little bit about your goals, but now I want you to step into your future again and think about, what memories do I want to create over the next 5 years? And one of the reasons why this is important is because stopping to reflect is one of the most powerful gifts that you can give yourself. Stopping to reflect. In the busyness of life, with deadlines and responsibilities and the consistent pursuit of what's next, it's easy to overlook the beauty of where we are right now. So I just want you to think about, what memories do you want to create over the next 5 years? And when I did this task, I remembered when I arrived at my 49th birthday, and I paused and thought about the memories that I had created over the years. And whilst I was proud of my accomplishments, I wanted something bigger. How many of you want something bigger over the next 5 years? Just type yes in the chat box. I realized, and we were speaking about this in the last session, that I wanted to make sure I leveraged that 100-fold blessing that the parable of the sower spoke about. If you missed the last Navigating Life class, we were speaking about the parable of the sower and the seed that fell on good ground. The Bible says that some of the seed that fell on good ground gave a 30-fold return, some gave a 60-fold return, and some gave a 100-fold return. So as you think about your memories and you think about what you want to create over the next 5 years, I want something bigger. I want richer memories to be able to reflect on later on in life. I want to be able to remember those things that gave me joy. I want to be able to I want to be able to reflect on those things that allow me to be even more grateful than what I am now. And one of the things that really helped me do this was my music video. Many of you will know that I've created 2 music videos because what I wanted to do was step into a different level of courage. I wanted to step into a different level of creativity. And so what I found myself doing is doing bigger, harder things so that I could take that courage and take that creativity, because here's the other thing, those are transferable skills. I wanted to be able to take my courage and creativity into a different space so that I can use the courage and creativity that I took from making a music video and take that transferable skill into business. I wanted to take that creativity of writing a book, writing 3 anthologies, and a strategic planning workbook, what you're working from now, and a memoir. I wanted to be able to take the skill, I wanted to be able to take the experience of doing those things and transferring that skill into writing, into developing another business. I wanted to take the skill of traveling and living in another country. For me, this was about bravery and adding value in different spaces. And so those are the types of reflections that I want to have over the next 5 years. So in order to do that, I had to do something different, right? In order to do this. So the question that I'm asking you to think about is, what are the memories? What are the things that you want to be thinking about over this next season, over this next epoch of time? And for those of you who are thinking, Claudine, let me see a bit more. What books have you written? Some of you will remember that we wrote the Navigating Life anthology series around mindset, identity and relationships, health, grief and loss. We wrote about motherhood, change and emotional roller coasters. I wrote a memoir, The Balancing Act, The Priorities of a Social Entrepreneur. I released 50 Golden Lessons, a workbook. And then the last, or the newest addition to the family of books, is the Strategic Planning Workbook that you are working from now. These are all memories that I want to be able to create. And the reason I want to be able to create these memories is because when it comes time to reflection, and when it comes time for me to be able to look back, I want to not just look back. I want to be able to choose to live forward with more purpose and more presence and more joy. But having these milestones, so having these books for me as a milestone, having music videos for me is a milestone. It's things that I can look back on and say, oh my gosh, these are the memories that I wanted to create. Having a business, being able to create job opportunities for other people, being able to create an app, being able to work with international entrepreneurs in other countries, creates to my memory bank, being able to have warm, beautiful experiences with my family, with my children, with my husband, with my extended family, being able to have those amazing memories. Those are the types of memories and experiences that I want to be able to create with intentionality. I want you just to type that word intention in the chat box. If you want your business to grow, we've spoken about increasing your finances, we've spoken about increasing your capacity for more. If those are the things that you want to do, then you have to be intentional about it. You can't just say it and not do anything about it. Yes, the Bible says to us that we should speak those things that are not as though they were, but after you've spoken those things, after you've said, this is what I want to do, you now have to get up and You now have to get up and do the very thing that you are speaking about. So those on my screen, they represent action, they represent intentionality, they represent me working with partners, they me doing something different. They represent me having conversations. They represent strategic alignment because I didn't do any of these things by myself. My music video, I didn't create by myself. I had a team of people with me. My books, I haven't written any of them by myself. I've had a team of people with me. My businesses, I didn't build any of them by myself. I had a team of people with me. If you go back to the life framework wheel and think about all of those key pillars, your finance, your family, your faith, your firm, your fun, your friends, your fitness, all of those things require additional resource. They require collaboration. It requires intention. It requires you to be clear about where it is that you want to go so that you can partner or collaborate with the right type of people so that you can make the right type of journey that's going to help you get to the place where you need to get to. Because in 2026, collaboration is key. In 2026, collaboration is key. Let me say that one more time. In 2026, collaboration is key. So now I want you to go to page 37. And I want you to get used to storytelling. Storytelling is your vision narrative. I want you to be able to describe your ideal day. Just pull an ideal day out of the year ahead. What does your ideal day look like? On page 37, I want you to start describing your future because we've been talking about being intentional. And this is essential because it gives you direction and clarity to your choices. So what does an ideal day look like? Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? We spoke about visualization, and it's the practice that elite athletes embrace. It's what winners do. When I'm sitting in boardrooms, when I'm sitting in business meetings, when I'm working with my mentees, when I'm having conversations with people who are building their businesses, what they are doing is visualizing their future. They are visualizing their ideal day. They are visualizing who they are hanging out with, the types of conversations that they're having. They're visualizing their actions. They are looking into their future and saying, right, on this day and time, on this day and time, this is what I'll be doing. And then they start, that visualization forms the compass that they are working with. It forms the navigation system that they are working with. It forms or informs rather their intention. intention. It informs their ability to see, to hear, to feel differently, because what they are saying is, in 3 years from now, this is where I'm going to be. I'm going to be sitting around a boardroom table with my business partners. I'm going to be discussing our next £5 million deal. I'm going to be discussing how we are going to scale our app or our business, because we've already had a turnover of £2 million, and now in order to get to the next level of growth, these are the types of conversations that we're going to be having. As you talk about those things, as you speak those things that are not as though they were, you're going to feel afraid. I'm going to be very serious with you. You're going to say, oh my God, what am I saying? What am I doing? How do I even make this happen? That's the power of partnership and collaboration, because you don't have to do all of those things by yourself. But if you don't start speaking it out into the atmosphere, if you don't start speaking these things out, then it sits within you and there is nothing that you can do about it because it has nowhere to go. But imagine this, imagine you talking about your business idea, your app, your program, your new your business that you are working on. Imagine you having this conversation and speaking to different people about how you are building this. And when I say different people, I mean the right people, because not everybody can carry the weight of your vision. Some people are vision stealers. Some people are vision killers, right? You just got to navigate that space and know who are the vision killers and stay far from them. Stay far from them. Stay far from the vision killers. But you still have to be able to position yourself to talk about where you see yourself so that you can start acting into your future. You've got to start acting like the person that you want to become. If I want to have £1 million or a £5 million deal, then how do I need to act? What do I need to know? The knowledge that got you here, the knowledge that got you to 5,000 is not going to be the knowledge that gets you to 100,000. The knowledge that gets you to 100,000 is not going to be the knowledge that gets you to 1 million. The knowledge that gets you to 1 million is not going to be the knowledge that gets you to 5 million. At each milestone, there is something different, which is why I'm saying to you, I want you to think about on page 37 and make this is your opportunity to tell your own story. Where are you? Who are you with? Where are you going? What are you doing? This is your opportunity to lean into your future and start talking about where I am going. All right, so page 39. I want you to start then, after you've done this, I want you to start thinking about your top 5 results and what you want to achieve. So what are your 5 big goals by 2030? Remember, I showed you the framework. Each framework, fitness, faith, family, finance, fun, friends, and firm, which leads to fulfillment, each of those will form part of your legacy outcomes. So you might have a big goal for your fitness, a big goal for your finance, a big goal for your faith, a big goal for your firm. Remember, I separated your finance and your firm. Your firm is your business. I've separated your finance goals and I've separated your business goals because I want you to be really granular about the details and about how you are going to prepare for this. And so think about your legacy outcomes. What do you want the next 5 years to look like? And what are the top 5 results that you want to achieve? You're going to detail that on page 39. Now, for those of you with a copy of the workbook, on page 40, which is task 7, I'm not going to do that today. I want that to be your homework. We next reconvene next Saturday, which is the 3rd of next year. We reconvene on the 3rd of January 2026, which is next week Saturday. And the task that I want you to do, your homework assignment, is task number 7. In order to achieve your big legacy goals, you're going to need to take some actions. And task number 7 is for you to detail each year, what are those big legacy goals? I want you to break them down: year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, and there is space for you to do that. I just want you to get the ideas out of your head and onto paper. And what this is doing is helping to give you even more clarity. And the reason why I'm asking you to do this is because when you build systems, they help to keep your vision alive. Let me say that again. When you build systems, they help to keep your vision alive. Building systems will help you keep your vision alive because you cannot do everything by yourself. The system allows you to automate the things that you are doing. The system allows you to automate your business. The system allows you to automate your revenue generation, which then frees you. It frees your mind. It frees your time. It frees you to focus on the things that only you can do. It frees you to focus on the things that are important to you. When I automate the way how I generate revenue, then it frees me to spend more quality time with my family. When I automate the things that build my business, when I automate my business, when I automate my finances, it allows me to spend time on the things that are important to me. So that's your homework assignment for next week. Now, after we've looked at your homework assignment, after you've looked at your homework assignment, the next thing I want you to start thinking about would then be your strategic pillars. And your strategic pillars are detailed on page 47. I want you to after you've done your legacy goals, your strategic pillars will be the 5 areas that you're going to focus on over the next few years to make sure that you have the success that you are looking for. There's a quote that I've put on page 46 that says, starve your distractions and feed your focus. Those things that are distracting you. I asked earlier on how many of you sometimes find it challenging to focus. Today is the day that you make a declaration and make a commitment to yourself to starve your distractions and feed your focus. Whatever you are focusing on, in order to make it grow, you need to ask yourself the question, what do I need to feed my business? What do I need to feed my fitness? What do I need to feed my finance? What do I need to feed my fun? Whatever strategic pillar is important to you over the next 5 years, you've got to be able to break this down and ask yourself the question with intention. How do I feed the thing that I want to grow? What is nutrition? What nutritional value? If this was a meal, if this was food, you would be asking yourself, is this nutritional? Is there carbohydrates? Is there protein? Is there vitamins? Is there water? Are those different things, are the different components that make up a nutritional meal, are they visible in my strategic pillars? You've got to be able to ask yourself, and I'm very aware this is going to be different for everybody because you're all at different ages and stages of life. But it's important for you to then reverse engineer the process. And a simple way to reverse engineer the process is to ensure that you make sure your goals are smart. So let me show you what a smart goal looks like. On page 48, I've given you a definition, not a definition. Yes, I've given you a definition of SMART goals. And for those of you who are not aware, a SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, and time bound. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound or realistic and time bound. And I want you to use this framework. If you haven't got a copy of the book, just take a screenshot of this and you can use it for each of your specific goals. So however many goals that you have, you're going to have a different pillar for each goal. Pillar 1, goal 1. Pillar 2, goal 2. Don't mix them all up. Don't put 5 goals in one pillar, 1 goal per pillar. I want to see if we can do this exercise right now. So think of a specific goal. A specific goal. S stands for specific. The goal is clear and well defined. So for example, you could say something like, by the end of 2026, I want to save £6,000 for an emergency fund, for example. But I want you to create your own specific goal. And you've got space from page 51 right the way through to page 55 to do this. Then I want you to think about the M. How can you track your progress and know when you've achieved it? So back to my example. If I said I wanted to save £6,000 for an emergency fund, then how I'm going to make it measurable is by saving £250 per month until the £6,000 target is reached. If I save £500 per month until the £6,000 target is reached, if we do some simple maths, 500 times 12 is going to give me £6,000. That's how I can know that it's measurable. You could break it down slightly more. You could say I'm going to save £250 every 2 weeks, or you could say I'm going to save £115, 150, or round that up to £116 every week. You could break it down into days. I'm going to save £16 and 43 pence. Let's round that up to £17. I'm going to save £17 per day. You make it measurable in a way that works for you and a way that works for your context. But the point here is to create that road map in order to give yourself some direction to follow. And then you're going to ask yourself, the A, is this achievable? Is whatever you have said you're going to save, is that a realistic monthly saving target? Because if it's too much if it's too much and you're not going to be able to achieve it, then you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. You want to put a little bit of stretch in there so it stretches your capacity, but you don't want to make it unrealistic. The R stands for relevant or realistic. It aligns with your broader life or career goals. And why is this relevant or realistic? I want you to answer that question. So the goal that you are creating right now, why is this relevant or realistic? And for me, having £6,000 emergency fund could build financial security at midlife. I need to have that nest egg or that amount of money put away so that it gives me a little bit of security. And this is the real life example. If you want more detail of this example, I have detailed it on page 49. So on page 49, I've broken down specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and then the last letter, time bound. It has a deadline or time frame for completion. And if the deadline is 12 months, you will know when you've arrived at that 12-month period. So I want you to use this exercise to create your own goal, one pillar per goal. If you want to take a screenshot of this, and literally all you're doing is writing your goals in that respective space. For those of you with the workbook, you've got enough space to write down 5 key goals that you can get really forensic on, that you can really drill down on, and that you can determine where you are, what you need to be doing, making sure that your goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And then as you carry on through the workbook, I've given you a framework where you can have a look at what success looks like. What does 1 year success look like? You can then define what impact this has on your family, because remember, you're not doing this on your own. And then I've given you space to write what we've referred to as a gap analysis. What gaps are in your skill set, what gaps are in your knowledge, what gaps are in your attitude or in your habits, how you can then close those gaps in order to align with your long-term objectives. I've given you information about a habit tracker. Some of you will need to will need to be able to create smarter habits or have an accountability partner in order to help you achieve those goals. And that's why mentorship is important, because it provides or acts as a powerful tool for staying on track. It gives you structure, it gives you visibility, it gives you motivation, and a habit tracker allows you to monitor your progress on a daily basis so that you can celebrate the small wins, so that you can identify patterns that might derail your consistency. Because that's the other reason why sometimes we don't make the progress that we're looking for, because we have patterns that derail our consistency. And sometimes the challenge is that we haven't identified what those patterns are. So on page or task 13, you're able to identify what those patterns are and get yourself into a rhythm. And the reason why this is important is because your habits will shape your tomorrow. Remember, I asked you or reminded you about having a strategic vision. Your habits will shape your tomorrow more than your intentions ever will. What you actually do will shape tomorrow more than what you think. You've got to start marrying your thinking and your doing. And here's the thing that's important: small, consistent action. I just want you to say that to yourself. Small, consistent actions compound into extraordinary results. Habits is your secret weapon. Your habits are your superpower. Your habits is your secret multiplier. When I think about any element of success in any area of life, fitness, faith, family, finance, fun, friends, or firm, it wasn't the big things that made progress. It was the tiny, consistent habits. It wasn't the, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this monumental thing. I'm going to do this big thing. It wasn't that at all. It was the tiny, tiny steps. I took one step on Monday, another step on Tuesday, went to a meeting on Wednesday, took another step on Thursday, took another step on Friday. And as you build that consistency, by the time you get to the end of the month, you've made significant progress. By the time you get to the end of the quarter, you've made even more significant progress. By the time you do a half year check, you've made even more significant progress. Not because you did one big thing, but because you did several small, consistent things that compound into extraordinary results, because your habits are your secret multiplier. As you progress through onto page 65, I've detailed for you a success system. I've detailed for you a success support system, and I want you to be able to use this as to how you can then build your own support system. I've given you a task to talk about your calendar alignment and how you can block time in your calendar. This is actually revolutionary. Blocking time in your calendar to actually do the things that you have written. So many of you would have used the strategic planning workbook to write about the things that you're going to do. After you've put the information into your workbook, you then have to transfer the calendar time and block out time for key priorities actually on your schedule. Then you've got to review your activities on a daily and weekly basis. Success has secrets, and the secret to success is moving from a to-do list to an intention list. And for me, that intention list is my calendar. If it's on my calendar, it will get done. If it's not on my calendar, I guarantee you it's just a good intention. It's just something that I have said that I'm going to do. But unless it is actually scheduled in my diary, I can see the date and the time that I'm going to do this thing, then it doesn't mean anything. And at this age and stage of life, we've got to get away from just the talking into actual action. As you go through the workbook, I've asked you to review your commitments. I've asked you to write 5 motivational declarations to yourself that will align your vision and inspire you to step into the next season with courage, confidence, and clarity. Courage, confidence, and clarity. If you're taking notes, I want you to say that out loud to yourself. Courage, confidence, and clarity. This next season is going to require your courage, confidence, and clarity. And then at the end, on page 70, I've left you with 25 thought-provoking, action-oriented questions. When we reconvene next week, we're going to work through those 25 questions. I've divided them up into fitness, faith, family, finance, fun, friends, and firm. And we're going to I'll probably take a few at random because I don't think we'll be able to do all 25 in next week's session. But I will have them ready for you so that you can focus and really get into what next needs to look like for you. Woo! So with that in mind, I now want to share with you a new program, a brand new AI tool that I'm offering to you for free to trial. How many of you would love to take part in a mentoring AI tool? If you're interested, yes, please, I see you in the chat box. Just type a yes in the chat box if you are interested. Of course. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. One of the reasons why this is really important is because we are in the AI age, and it is so important to ensure that you stay abreast, stay in tune, stay up to date with whatever is happening in the ecosystem. So